Hello. Welcome to Circuit Breaker Live, the Verge Gadget Show. It's a show where we play with gadgets all the time. I am Nilay Patel. This is Paul Miller.
Hello.
We have a packed show. Dan Seaford's standing right here.
I'm here.
But wait for Dan. We have a packed show. I'm going to tell you all about it. Dan, we're going to talk about the Galaxy S9, which is here. Dami is going to join us. We got a bunch of new kinds of wacky musical instruments to play with. Paul, it just says you're going to teach me how to type.
That's right. That's exactly what it says.
Insulting. It's very confusing.
You've got a lot to learn, Nilay.
Jake and Ashley are going to do Ask Circuit Breaker. We've also got some videos to run in the middle. They're very exciting. So, some surprises.
Segments?
Segments, you might
Is that what
call
those
them.
are called?
I think they're
packages.
Called. The pros call them packages.
Proto packages.
We're going to listen to our IFBs through our IEMs.
Mm-hmm.
But first, we are going to talk about the GS9, which is, as we said last week, came out last week at Mobile World Congress in Spain.
Right.
Dan did our hands-on video at the launch. Now you've got them.
I got him.
So I think we're on the top-down camera here, right? I want to play a game
This is a very good
with
game.
you, the YouTube audience. I'll take this pixel on the way. These are Galaxy S9s and Galaxy S8s. I want you to type to me in this chat. The S9s are on they're physically located. These are the small ones, these are the big ones.
The pluses and the regulars.
The pluses and the regulars. The S9s are on one side and the S8s are on the other side. Just type left or right. Which ones do you think the
Wait,
S9s are?
they're left?
No, you have to guess.
No, I'm saying, if you're looking at the screen
Yeah, just type left or right.
Looking at the top down.
Okay, their left is our left.
Yes,
Their
their
Paul,
left
can
is
you
our
tell
left.
the difference? So you just vote in the chat here. Type left or right.
Left or right?
If you think which ones you think the 9s are.
They wouldn't let me, Nilay and Dan won't let me flip them. So
Yeah, we can't flip them
Just
because
going
it's
off the
printed
front.
on the back.
Yeah.
And
What I
also
can see-
the pluses have 2 cameras.
is that some of these phones have extra little icons. Like this one is like a weather, but also it looks like it's like a link. Like maybe you connect to the cloud with that button. I don't know. So I'm assuming new phone, more feature, that the ones with the icons, so therefore the 2 left ones are S9s. That is my current theory.
I'm going to say that asking people to pick a 50-50 choice has resulted in a 50-50 split. In
Oh,
the
really?
chat. Most people are saying left.
Okay.
That's what right now a bunch of people are saying right.
Okay.
Oh man, this is crazy. Okay.
Dan,
They're saying the opposite of what I'm saying.
Dan.
Several people are saying
what is the truth?
the point of this is that from this side they look virtually identical.
Yeah.
Dan, can you tell us?
So there are
would you
minor
tell?
differences. All right. So to give the answer. So Paul, I'm sorry, buddy. You
I
were
was
wrong.
super wrong.
The
You
S,
chose the S8s.
S8's on the left.
S9s were
S9s are on the right.
Okay, where did I
All
go
you
wrong?
left voters.
So, well, you didn't. I mean, like they basically do look exactly the same. There are some really minor differences at the top. You can see the S8. You can see more of the front sensors. They like blacked them out more on the S9. Samsung calls this more immersive. I call it. They did a better job.
See, I thought
blacking it out.
maybe like, more sensors on the S9.
Well, there's the same amount of sensors. That's the other thing is like technology-wise, they're basically the same. They're the same amount of sensors. You just can't see them as easily on the
They're
S9.
hidden on the S9.
And then the other difference, which I don't know if you can really tell from your angle anyways, but the S9 has a matte finish on the metal frame, and the S8s are glossy. So that's really the only front difference. And then the other
That's
one,
real
I should say, also the speaker grill on the S9 is a single slot, and the S8 had this like multi-hole grill.
S9 has stereo, right?
But the S9 has stereo, which just means that it uses the earpiece speaker as a speaker in conjunction with the bottom speaker, just like the iPhone does, HTC does, a bunch of phones do that now.
One of my favorite features of
It's great.
iPhones.
Yeah, it's like the fact that Samsung didn't have this until now is kind of surprising. Like they're actually catching up.
there
And
is-
it does sound really good.
One very important distinction on the back, correct?
So on the back, on the smaller models, the big distinction is the movement of the fingerprint sensor was up on the camera, by the camera on the S8. It's now down below on the S9. And then on the S9 Plus, you get a second camera. So you get 2 cameras like you found on the Note 8 last year.
2 for the price of 1, you might say.
Sure, except that you
one
pay
says
more for this.
Yeah, you literally pay more for the second camera.
No, you're paying for the larger screen and you get a free extra camera.
Sure.
It's like Costco.
All right, so people
Like
ask
some
us questions in
Kirkland-
the chat about these phones. We're gonna start going through them. Number one question, I've got some tweets here. This Surface just hates me today. But the number one question we got was about the cameras, how they work, if they're better.
These guys up.
Yeah, so let's take those S8s away.
Garbage.
What's interesting to me, and we were talking on the show last week, they now have a mechanical aperture. So this can step down from, it can close the aperture. It's wide open at 1.5, f1.5, which is brighter than any other smartphone camera I think we've seen.
Yep.
And then it can stop down to 2.4, which is
Right.
in
So
line
actually,
with
the way it
everybody else.
works by default is the opposite. It starts at 2.4, and then Samsung software will open it up to 1.5 based on automatic settings.
But that's a hardware thing that happens.
That is a physical hardware switch. You can see, we're going to try and show you guys this on camera, but we were having a little trouble focusing this earlier. Right now, it is wide open. Let me open up the camera app. Because if you go to the Pro mode, you can alter this. So
trying to get
it
it
is
to
wide
focus.
open now. Paul, let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, if only I had manual focus on my camera.
And I'm just toggling between them
Hey,
now.
put something there so I can help you focus. There we go.
Yeah, Samsung, if you're listening, it's very hard to take photos of these phones.
Glossy black. There we go. Okay.
So you can see it. You can see it like switching. It's almost like
Wait, which is which? That's closed.
so. This is closed, and now it's open.
Yes.
Closed, open. It's almost like a filter is dropped in. You can't like actually do any of the apertures in between 1.5 and 2.4. It's one or the other. And
To be fair, like my mechanical lenses going from between, it's not like you can pick a range between.
Well, sure you can.
2.2.
Sure you can. Well, no, but like, 1.5 and 2.4 is roughly a full stop. It's, in terms of light, in terms of photography. So a lot of lenses will give you third stops in between. Anyways, that's kind of tangential. The point is this gives you more options than any other phone on the market.
What's it for?
So Samsung says that because the f1.5 lens lets in so much more light than the 1.7 on last year's phone, that sometimes when you're outside in really bright conditions, it's too much light, and so you close it down, you let less light in, you get a better exposure.
Which is backwards of how
Why don't they
most
just
people talk about aperture.
crank the
Sure, yeah.
ISO.
So what most phones would do in a bright situation, what the S8 does, what Pixel does, etc., they're just going to increase the shutter speed.
Right.
So like the shutter's open for a shorter amount of time, and you get the same exposure, even in bright light. The other thing that a smaller aperture can do is give you a little bit greater depth of field or more area in focus. But with phone sensors, they're so small, you already have so much in focus already, there's really not much of a difference.
So our friend Walt Mossberg tweeted at me earlier today. Why do the side-by-side test photos I've seen show so little difference between the two fixed aperture settings?
So that's part of that is the depth of field is really not that much different. And we've got a couple examples I think we can pull up. There, you can notice an exposure. So if you guys can see this is shot at f1.5. I don't remember the exact shutter or aperture off the top of my head, or
You
ISO.
can
off the
go
top of my
over
head.
there and point some stuff out.
So you can see this is shot at f1.5. If we could switch to the 2.4, the next photo. Now this is shot at f2.4 with the same shutter speed and the same ISO, and you can see that it's much darker because the f2.4 lets in much less light. So it's about one stop of difference.
So you held all the settings constant and just switched the aperture.
Just switch the aperture for that. Okay, so if we go to the next photo, so this is at 1.5 again. This is with automatic ISO and automatic shutter speed. So what you would notice here is that this part is pretty blurred out. This is pretty blurred out in the background and things like that, but it's sharp up front. And if we go to the next photo, it's a little bit more detailed.
It's like the tiniest bit.
The tiniest bit. So this is shot at f2.4 with automatic ISO and automatic shutter speed. So the camera compensated for the smaller aperture by raising its ISO or sensitivity.
Can we go back one photo?
Yeah,
So
let's
what's
see if we can toggle
interesting
back.
to me, so when you think about shooting in low light, you want that wide open aperture to let in more light.
Let in more light.
So you can have a fast shutter speed. It's not blurry.
Exactly. Yep.
Samsung is saying literally the opposite here.
They're saying
the
it's
mechanical aperture is to knock it down in bright light.
Yeah, it's funny that they're pitching it that way because if you use the camera in automatic mode, it defaults to the f2.4 aperture and only opens it up when it needs to. Whereas like most automatic cameras are going to open up the lens as far as they can go and only close it down when they need to, like you were saying. But the camera works a little backwards in automatic mode, which is kind of weird.
And then the other thing I would say, if we can take this full screen, I just want everyone to look at this photo. It's hard, I know on YouTube, there's all kinds of compression happening. But if you just look at this photo, it still, to my eye, looks like a Samsung photo. And Samsung photos, we've now done so many photo comparisons. You can just see it. They're hyper processed. They're a little bit more crisp.
Yeah, I would
say they do all kinds of processing to smooth things out.
The noise on this is really good. Like this was indoors at a coffee shop, obviously. It's not the best light in the world, but there's like, this is at f1.5 and the noise reduction is really good. That's one of the things that Samsung worked on this year is to reduce the noise, but it's still, like you said, has that Samsung look. And I think a lot of that has to do with the way it processes things, the way the color is rendered mostly. And you know, certain times that Samsung look looks great. Certain portraits look really nice with that. And other times, you know, it's different. I don't have a pixel comparison here.
How's
but
it
would
doing
be
with
quite
like
different.
skin? Like one of the Samsung problems is it sometimes will just smooth over.
So
skin.
on the rear camera, it doesn't do that as much. On the front camera, by default, it smooths your skin out and it's dry. You can turn it off, but like by default, it's gonna like totally make up your face, basically.
So we should talk about the front cameras too, because the back cameras are real interesting. Ruben in the chat is asking Pixel 2 XL or Galaxy S9 regarding the front-facing camera.
So the interesting thing about the front-facing camera is exactly the same as last year. It's the same 8-megapixel camera. It has autofocus. It's basically like the only camera on the market that has autofocus on the front. And it does have a portrait mode, but it's not as good as the Pixel 2s or even the iPhone 10s, in my opinion. But you can see, if we can switch to the front cameras. What am I doing?
There's that AR emoji mode, man.
All right, selfie. So by default, will adjust your skin tone and adjust the color.
Too charged. Let me just add it for.
And so like yeah, I don't like the front camera. I really don't. It really can really butcher your skin. And then it has what they call selfie focus, which is their portrait mode on the front.
Yeah. So would you say like overall? I mean, you've only had it for a few days.
Yeah.
But it seems largely the same with the addition of a wide-angle lens and slightly better low-light performance.
It's like an S8.5.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's the iPhone 6s, right? It's the iPhone 8. It's the same design. They upgraded the internals with newer, more modern stuff. They added a few things that you don't have on the prior model, but it looks the same. It feels the same. If you close your eyes, it's like you're using the same phone.
Vishal in the chat just pointed
Also
out.
focused on your camera.
No notch.
No notch.
Samsung, one of the few manufacturers this year, going with a symmetrical design.
No notch and a headphone jack.
And a headphone jack.
So you don't need
Phone
this in
to
your
get.
life. You can just take these and like throw them to hell.
All right,
Get out of here.
Get out of there.
I feel like my decision hasn't been made. Why would I get any other phone in the world if they're not going to have a headphone jack? And
I mean, the S8, I will say, the S7 and the S8. Well, the S8 I think was prettier minus the fingerprint sensor. I think they set a standard for phone design. Apple had to meet that with the 10.
Right.
They did it, notch aside. But no one else is close. I don't think. Even the Pixel.
It's not
This
just
is
the
a smaller
design, it's-
Pixel. Like I don't. This
No,
doesn't
that's
look
hideous, yeah.
nearly as good.
It's not just design. It's like the level of fit and finish are really nice too. Like it's a very well polished, well made.
okay.
this is something important to me because I do kind of want. I'm kind of looking for an Android phone. I want a smaller phone, and the Pixel 2 is notoriously bezel, forehead and chin heavy.
Big forehead. It's like me.
The
It's
metric
all 5
everyone
head.
is insisting that we now use
Oh yeah.
is screen to body ratio.
Yes.
Which makes me want to die.
What's your screen to body ratio?
It's a little bit too much, my friend. Wait, too low. It's something. So great. It's beautiful hardware. The camera is a Samsung camera. People, if you like it, you're gonna love it.
Right.
It's gonna be an improved version
Yeah,
of that.
I think
if
that
you're
if-
like me, and I think the iPhone and the Pixel are just a little bit nicer. You know,
It's really comes down to the look. And like if you didn't like the look before, you're not gonna like it now.
It's like an aesthetic choice.
But
it's a
here's
lot
what
of
we
stuff.
always say about Samsung phones: great hardware, most features,
But you stick around for Bixby.
running the software. And like it's just the same as ever, right? There's 2 web browsers, there's 2
Yeah,
mail
so,
clients, there's 2 messaging apps, there's 2 assistants.
2 web browsers, 2 app stores, 2 gallery apps, 2 email apps, 2 payments apps, things like that. Like, and certain things are better than Google's. Like Samsung's internet browser, I've been saying for a while, is better. Samsung Pay is better than Android Pay. But the point is, like, most of them are not better, and then like you have to have both. So like, it's a whole bunch of folder of Google apps and a whole folder of Samsung apps, and it's like nice that you can corral them like that. But like, they
And then
shouldn't.
we got to talk about it. 2 assistants on the phone,
And 2 assistants, right?
one of which is mapped to a hardware button.
There
Yes.
it is.
There's the Bixby button.
I'm Bixby.
Okay, so this is Bixby. What is this called?
They
This
call
like
this
Google-
Bixby Home, which
just
is
like
basically
Google
like
Now.
Google Now.
By the way,
It's a
Vlad
collective
Savov,
feed.
one of our great reporters, editors, said The Bixby button is hardware bloatware. That's where he's at with Bixby.
Okay.
But tell us what they're trying to. Is Bixby been improved?
So it's gotten a little bit of a facelift. It's a little nicer to look at, but who cares? And it's slightly faster, but it's still slow. And then in the camera app, Bixby Vision, they call it. Where is that? Has gotten a couple of new features. You can do makeup with it, which is kind of crazy.
Oh yeah, I saw this.
So you can do like different. So there I am,
Yeah, great.
Oh, pretty.
and then I can like buy that makeup directly from Sephora.
Of course. Are you kidding me?
Because why else would it exist?
Wait, go back to the makeup. I wanna see that. There we go.
So you can do different looks.
Honestly, I would use this.
This is great.
Yeah. So there's that. You know, it's got some text things or whatever, but for the most part, it's still Bixby. It's still weird. It's still slower than Google Assistant.
So let's just try this.
Its voice to text is not as good.
And its whole thing is that it can actually operate the phone for you.
Yeah.
Or it's supposed to be able to operate the phone for you. So you can be like, turn Wi-Fi off. And it opens its settings.
Oh, nice.
Turn Wi-Fi on. Wait. Great. Turn Wi-Fi on.
Sure. I turned Wi-Fi on.
And then Dan was showing me earlier, we can just tweet from his account.
Yeah,
Let's not do that.
Dan,
Open Twitter and tweet, I love Bixby, it's my favorite. That's not great. Oh, I got 5 experience points. It didn't do that at all.
So that's like the greater pitch of Bixby is that it can go into your apps and do things.
and it's
Let's see what it does now.
it's key,
transcribe all
it's
of
key
this.
to your voice, right, Dan?
It has been trained on my voice, so
Found on the web.
Wait,
That's great. Oh, wait, I'm going to try this.
Dan, you do a tweet about how much fun you're having being on the show.
All right, here. I want to hold the button for you.
all right.
Okay, here's some ideas. My good friends, Paul and Nilay, they're great to hang out with. You're Dan.
Just do the tweet.
Open Twitter and tweet, I love Paul and Nilay.
Great.
Yes.
Is it ever going to get your name?
Nope.
Paul, enable great. Yes, it is everything.
Oh, there you go.
Tap tweet when you're ready.
Wait, it just says I love Paul. Enable great. Yes.
Tweet it.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
So there's a part, I was expecting to hate Bixby. There's a part of me that says
I'm kind of a fan.
it's like it can do more
Because
things.
it actually controls.
My big problem with it is that
phone
it's
and the apps.
slower than just using the phone. Like,
Okay.
it's easier to open Twitter and just type that out.
And here's the other problem. I'm just gonna be real with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I hear the word Bixby, like this is a high-end, beautiful, polished device,
Right.
and the assistant is named Bixby,
Right.
which literally makes me think of a dog wearing shoes who is a butler.
It's like a clippy. It's like
And
Samsung's
it's like a
clippy.
joke that we've been telling on the Verge cast forever. And last week I asked people to send me pictures of a dog wearing shoes.
Right.
And our producer Creighton literally started a Tumblr, bixbyshoes.tumblr.com, and we have a lot of fan art of Bixby. Who's this one? This is, I don't have a name on this one. Here's one. This is great. Paul, here's your cheater-ass submission.
Yeah, I didn't draw anything. Is that okay? It's just a really good photo.
It's a good photo. This is my favorite by far. Ricky tweeted this one at me. This one looks like he opened a door that's a phone.
I like the
Walking
tongue.
through
I
it.
think he's walking out of a smart Samsung refrigerator.
Yeah, that's great. This one's pretty good. He's holding a tray that says stuff.
Okay.
And then this last one, this is great. So here's the art. This is from Cameron on Twitter. But then he showed us his process, which is a video, which the dog is part of the logo.
Yeah.
It's a real toss-up. You tell me who should win the prize.
We have a clear winner.
Is it Cameron?
Yeah, yeah.
I kinda
Not only
tied Paul.
did he a great job, but he showed
Showed his work. Yeah.
Showed his
You
work.
know? Like I cheated.
you definitely cheated. I have to say I'm more impressed with Bixby than I expected to be, but I would prefer to just turn it off.
Yeah, so you can turn it off now. You can actually go into settings. You can turn off what they call Bixby Home, but you can also turn off the button. So now the button does nothing.
But you want to
assign it
remap
to,
the
like,
button.
a camera or something?
Natively, no. There are apps in the Play Store that you can download, and we'll let you remap it until Samsung pushes an update, and then it breaks, and you have to do that whole
Really?
dance again.
Why?
But Samsung does not give you a native way to remap it, so it just basically becomes a fidget button.
Oh.
Yeah. But between this and the Pixel and the forthcoming Pixel, those feel like the only Android phones playing. Everybody else is doing bad, weird notches.
There's a lot of notches out there.
And I'm not gonna buy an Android phone with a notch that. I understand why.
Well, maybe
Apple did a
maybe
bad,
I
weird
would
notch.
if this wasn't so good, but this does seem to be a very good phone.
It does seem like
it's an excellent phone.
It's just loaded with Samsung software.
Yeah.
They've got to decide if they're.
The other thing is
Good
that
or
like you can't rely on Samsung to get the next version of Android anytime soon. So like
I'm gonna get this name wrong. I apologize. Johan in the chat says, "Is the iris scanner comparable to the S8? Is it quicker or the same?"
So same. They do have a new feature that they call Intelligent Scan, which combines iris scanning with their face scanning function and will determine which one to use based on your conditions. It's very obvious they're trying to ape Face ID, but it's still slow, still kind of clumsy and awkward. But thankfully, the fingerprint scanner is easier to use, so
Hey,
you still have the fingerprint scanner. So
What
I'm not
about-
totally like,
what about
Trash it for that.
Samsung's Animoji?
they're real bad.
Yeah. Let's look at these real quick, and then we gotta.
So they're called AR emoji. And that is supposedly me.
Is that you?
It doesn't
believe
use
it.
any special tech. It's just using the front-facing camera, so you can see the tracking is pretty
You look
bad.
you're kind of sleepy
And I look very
mad.
sleepy here. Let's do
That's
one
some
that
like
means-
uncanny valley shit. man.
Yeah, it's just creepy, and the tracking is really bad, and things like that. Here's Ashley. I can be Ashley. I think Ashley's looks way better than mine.
Yeah, yours looks like a real jerk.
Well, I guess that's
It's very
pretty real,
accurate.
yeah.
It turns out.
And then they've got these weird animals.
I don't think you're a jerk, Dan.
No, this one is, but that one is like a stoned angry
Wait,
rabbit.
do the wing.
This one.
What?
What is that?
I think it's a bear. I don't know. I got ears up here.
So here's what
and
I'll
then
say about this.
An evil cat.
Compared to what Apple's doing with Animoji, which is very restricted inside of messages, Animoji are not in the camera app on the iPhone, right? It's inside of messages. They're actually hard to get out of messages.
Right.
This is just in the camera app.
Yeah, so I could take a
Like,
picture,
It's a more.
record a video.
I think you'll see more of this crazy machinima stuff.
Yeah, it's
Just easier to get out of the phone.
really
if
annoying
people aren't
how
like creeped out by it.
lockdown Animoji is.
So then the other thing that it does is it creates all these reaction GIFs based on, like, it creates your Animoji and then it makes a whole
This
palette
is like
of reaction
This
GIFs.
is like Bitmoji.
It's basically not.
I don't. It's like pure Samsung nonsense. Like there's a nonsense division at Samsung. And it's just
Okay, Pixar's got a new movie right coming out, and it's about like parachute like sports people, right? And so a studio rushes to market and does a direct to DVD release of their fake knockoff parachute sports people movie.
I call this stuff Samsung couldn't help itself.
all right.
I'm just saying aesthetically.
We're gonna take a break from the S9
where
for a
we're at.
minute. At the very end of the show, Dan's gonna come back. We're gonna take your phone calls, which is gonna be
Yes.
dangerous and weird.
On the S9, no.
On the
Oh, it's gonna be great. You're gonna do a good
call
job.
us with your questions at the end of the show. Dan will be back to answer those questions. I'm excited to see how that goes. Next, Paul, I am told that you ruined one of Dan's computers.
yeah.
I made a video about it.
Here's my big fear. I don't like to do pranks on people because I don't want to be pranked. And I broke my own rule, but Dan was really chill about it. So please watch this video of mustard in the laptop is what I'm calling it.
Watch this. We'll be back with that circuit breaker.
Hello. I'm Paul Miller. Welcome. Okay. Dell says its new XPS 13 won't be stained by mustard or permanent marker. Guess who got a Dell XPS 13 today? Dan Seifert, and guess who has mustard? I have mustard. Dan's at lunch. Look at this beautiful laptop. Be a shame if somebody put mustard on it. I'm so scared of shaking. A little bit there. A little bit there. Okay. Just gonna smudge it around just a little bit. I don't want to ruin the laptop. Just a little bit of mustard. Look at that. Beautiful. Dan will never know. Nobody has to tell Dan that this happened. Just comes right off. Not even a problem. Get all the mustard. Okay. Well, that was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. Oh, yeah, fine. And nobody has to know, okay? All right, I'm here with the world's bravest human, Ashley Carmen. Ashley thinks I should leave the mustard on the laptop.
You definitely should leave the mustard on the laptop.
What if Dan hurts me?
It'd be
Oh,
funny.
You would like that. Okay, okay. So I just put the mustard on and just walk away.
Yes.
Okay, all right. This is how peer pressure works. You just do what other people tell you to do. Look at that, it's so clean. It's like I never even put mustard on it. Oh gosh, that's the grossest thing.
Oh my God.
Before you sit down.
It's kind of gross to be honest with you.
Wait, how do you feel? How do you feel?
I'm honestly a little grossed out.
It's disgusting, right?
Why? It's filthy. Do you guys think it'll stain?
Here you go.
This is
going super well.
At least it's not ketchup. Because that stinks.
So according to Dell,
Hey,
Oh,
this white
Oh, it smells.
texture finish on the XPS 13 is mustard proof.
Oh.
And now I'm regretting telling Paul that for obvious reasons.
it's on the internet. Anybody can read it.
How long was this mustard here?
Just a few minutes.
I think we need to
What
leave
kind
it-
of mustard are we looking at here?
No. We need to leave this for like an hour. You gotta-
I got work to do.
Too bad. Raise your hand up.
You're supposed to be able to leave it on for up to a week.
Well, you know, in the few minutes it's been here, I see no issues.
Goodbye.
This is so gross. I apologize, Dell, but you guys did this to yourselves.
So Dan, you're not mad at me?
I'm never mad at you, Paul.
Oh, thanks, Dan. Can we have a little mustard hug? This is what true camaraderie and friendship looks like, everybody.
It smells like mustard.
Smells disgusting.
That was beautiful content. Truly beautiful. I'm an enabler, and I
need
feel
to
good
know
about it.
What other laptops we can put mustard on? Or other
We should just put it on
condiments.
every laptop. That should be our test.
This is
The
part of-
Verge's signature
Yes.
laptop test.
Forget the battery
mustard
tests.
test. Yeah, mustard test.
Yeah.
Essential. All right. Now it's your time for the best part of the whole show, right? It's Ask Circuit Breaker. So we premiered this, a couple weeks ago? And now we're on our third week. We're here. Last week you asked us many questions. We picked some out. One of the questions we have is actually a demand. We'll get to it though. And we want you to keep asking us questions. So please tweet at us. You can leave comments on the YouTube video, go for it in the chat. You could go on Instagram. We have so many places you can reach us. Just send us a message. Ask us a question. Jake and I are here. We're here to answer your questions.
Preferably nicely, but
Yeah.
we take questions in any form.
It's true. All right. So our first demand, or actually complaint, is that last week we talked about the Nintendo Switch and various accessories. We didn't end up getting to the cases, and I'm sorry about that. But I've brought a couple cases here with me today to explain to you how you should look for a Nintendo Switch case. So I own a Nintendo Switch, and I actually don't have a case. But that's just because I'm a rebel and I don't respect my gadgets, and it's fine.
Live dangerous.
I've carried it around without a case in my backpack and just let it kind of jostle around in this now. Don't do that. Just don't do that. So I polled a couple of my coworkers who are way more responsible than me, particularly Creighton, who is our show producer, and he recommended this case, the unique hard shell case. I've actually taken this case to Mexico with me before. He let me borrow it during a family vacation, so thanks, Creighton. The thing to note about this case, and I think the reason Creighton chose it, is one, it has this hard shell, so it's protective. Also, it has a sleeve here where you can put different game cards, and there's a pocket so you can keep a massive battery, which is what Creighton does, or a Joy-Con or whatever else you want to keep in the pocket. I will say that while this is protective, it has lots of room, it is massive and pretty much took up my entire carry-on. So, you know, if you have space, go for it. But if you don't have space, I talked to Chris Welch, a news editor here at The Verge, and he has this case from a company called TomTalk. That's the Commuter Slim case. It's way thinner, but it's a little hard, but definitely not as hard as the unique one. You'll see in here, there's no pockets. That's what it's missing. It does have a little game card slots here, but there's no place for you to keep a battery, really. His Switch is in here right now. So the key things I think you'll want to look for if you're looking for a case is that pocket, if it's important to you, if you think you're going to carry external batteries or something like that, or if you plan on carrying Joy-Cons. If not, if you're just like purely a commuter, you're on the train or something like that, maybe you just want a slim case that's light and easy to carry around. So we have both options for you here.
That case looks fantastic for just throwing it in your bag.
Yeah, this is great. Like, this is definitely what I would
That's what I would be worried about.
Yeah, this is what I would go with purely to keep your screen protected. I would never carry. I can't keep things charged.
It's like the Pelican case of like Switch. It's like
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's massive.
So next we have a pair of questions about Android Go. Android Go is Google's new stripped-down version of Android. It's meant for phones that are really low-end, like under $100. Came out on a bunch of phones last week, and we've got a couple questions. The first is whether Go apps are available on other phones. And so part of Android Go is, it's not just the operating system, it also is bundled with a whole bunch of apps that are supposed to be optimized for lower-end hardware so that they'll run better. And the answer is sort of yes and no. Some of the apps are available, some are not. The good news is that two of my favorite apps are available. The first one is Files Go. You can download this on any phone, and you really should. It's like basically the file explorer that Google should have included with Android but didn't. It recommends files for you to delete, and it just is a really easy way to look through all the images, songs, and so on your device that you have probably forgotten about. So this is really great. The other one is called Datally, and it's not strictly a Go app, but it's going to be on some Go phones, and it's made by the same team inside Google that makes the Go apps. And this one is for tracking your data usage. It lets you quickly see how much each of your different apps are using up. It lets you, lock them, so you can say, I don't want Instagram to use any data right now, and it'll only work over Wi-Fi. It is really easy to use. It's another good one if you're trying to make sure that your device doesn't, use up too much stuff. So the other question we had is, why isn't Google just making all of its apps optimized so that they run faster? And I think that's a really good question because, some apps get really, really heavy. But the reason why Google hasn't done this with all of its apps is because some of the, it is optimizing them, but optimize is like a really big, broad word. And so in some cases, that means stripping features out. If you try Maps Go, which you can download on any device, it's just like Google Maps, but worse. You just should not download it. But if you try Google Go, you'll find a completely different experience because it's been customized for different markets where people are just coming online, and the search box looks basically as foreign as a command line. So you're going to get different experiences in different places. The only unfortunate thing is I wish that YouTube Go was available in other areas. I think that's another reason that you're not seeing these expanded. YouTube Go has some of the paid features that you find in YouTube Red, so I'm sure there's sort of a monetary thing in there too. That's it for us. Be sure to send us more questions for next week. And now over to Dami with some musical calculators.
Hello.
Hey.
Dami's here, everybody. She has more than musical calculators. You have like a selection of crazy new instruments.
I have so many fun, wacky musical instruments I want to show you guys. I'm going to save musical calculators for last, save the best for last. But we're going to start with the otamatone. I think a lot of people might recognize this. This has been around since 1998, which is kind of surprising.
I've never seen one of these in my life.
Okay. Does this sound familiar to you now?
Sounds like a nightmare.
Okay, so this was created by a Japanese design firm. Yes, he's got a little face, like he's saying hello to you. But yeah, we have a picture of Meiwa Denki, the Japanese design firm behind the otamatone, and that's them right there.
Dang.
They're super dope, as you can see.
Like, can you buy a full-size one?
I don't think you can buy that one, but the automaton is available in different sizes and colors. I think they have like little keychain versions of it.
So can you play a song on this?
I personally cannot. You can try if you want to, but there's you can play it in 3 different pitches. So you can set it to low, mid, or high. High is like kind of a little bit obnoxious. So I'm gonna set this to mid. And I'm gonna hand this over to you, and maybe you can play a little song for us. I know you were practicing a little bit earlier.
I have to say the face on that thing, and I say this with all the love in my heart, when the mouth is closed, the face just reminds me of Dieter.
I don't know why.
It's just like, it's like half smiling, but it's still kind of like disappointed in you.
Oh yeah, okay, I see that. Yeah. I think it's cute.
Diamond in the sky.
There you go.
Twinkle, twinkle, little
Just
star.
2 hours of rehearsal before the show, everybody.
What you are.
So can you modulate the tone?
You can like do vibrato with your fingers a little bit, or just do
All right,
that.
take this away from me.
Okay, so let's
That's adorable.
put this away and think about the last time that somebody invented a new instrument, like straight up just invented like an analog instrument. Because that's what Yamaha did last year with the Venova. This is like a cross between a recorder and a saxophone. And they like to market it as a casual wind instrument.
Casual.
As you can see on the screen there. You can just take it out
Oh, I
to
see.
picnics, like on the go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like you would do.
What makes it casual? Is it easy to play, or is it like low maintenance?
It's like super lightweight. It's like made of plastic, I think, so it's waterproof. You play it in the rain if you want. Take it anywhere.
That
take it
just
to
looks
the
like
beach.
he's carrying a duck. Go back to that one. This one is weird because she's like, you suck at the Venova. This one is carrying a duck.
Yeah, so just
I
like
don't know that you want to just roll around like that.
throw it in your purse, so you never know when someone's gonna ask you to play the Venova.
Yeah.
I personally, I don't know how. Yamaha did
All right.
offer to send someone who knew how to play, but
you
Creighton, our producer, was like, "We got it."
You have to do it. Let's see it.
Okay, I'm gonna try my best. I'm so embarrassed.
You got it. I will say that it does sound like me trying to play the saxophone. Oh, there you go.
Whoa.
Okay, so I'm gonna put that
Dami did a
down.
lot.
I heard that.
Super embarrassing.
I'm really impressed that you went for it.
Okay, so I've
That was
never
great.
played the reed instrument before in my life, but yeah, this uses like a synthetic like plastic reed. If you play like a clarinet or saxophone, like you should be able to pick this up pretty easily. But they
And
have
then
a
take
lot
it to the beach in your bag.
just on the go.
And
It's
people will be
whatever.
like, is that a duck? And you're like, no. And then you whip out a Venova song.
How much is it?
This is $99, which I think is a pretty good price.
It's like this, like a disposable.
It's I wouldn't necessarily call it that.
Yamaha introduces the disposable saxophone.
Well, like, you
It's
know.
lightweight, you know, it's no
right.
pressure.
That's amazing.
But yeah, I'm really excited to get to these musical calculators. I ordered these from AliExpress. These are my personal calculators. It's the AR7778. You can also order it on Amazon for $20, but it's everything's in Chinese, so I had a little bit of trouble
Weren't you saying
figuring
that you
it out.
found these from some YouTuber?
Yes, so I found this on a YouTuber called It's a Small World, and this person is like a master at it. She was playing 4 calculators at a time. She was playing like the Super Mario theme song, so thank you to her for being my inspiration.
I think I've seen this video, and it is absolutely amazing.
It's amazing. So,
Wow.
okay, so you can play like almost 2 octaves. As you can see, the time and date is here. This
Is it
says
2005 right now?
Yeah.
So
best-
it's a
the
little
best
bit
time.
behind. Maybe that's when it was
Let's all
made.
just take, everybody close your eyes and remember January 1, 2005.
But
In
yeah,
the full throat of youth.
What was happening? I have no
felt
idea what I
great.
was doing.
I was in high school, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, you can also use this as an alarm clock, so you can wake up to the sweet sounds of a calculator. I also want to point out that every time you put in batteries, it plays this jaunty tune.
Oh my. This is a really intense calculator. Is it meant to be a calculator or is it supposed to be an instrument?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Can you do
Yeah,
math with it?
yeah, you can absolutely do that.
This is like for accountants with dreams. Like they sneak into work and they're like, I just bring in my regular work tools in.
Important note on that. Is there a headphone jack?
No.
Disappointing.
Just, yeah.
All right, can you
But it
play
goes on
something
for a
else?
really long time. I will be taking your requests in the chat.
You have some sheet music here?
Yeah, it came with
By the way,
sheet music from AliExpress, which is just a bunch of numbers.
No way.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of songs. I haven't.
Any songs we might
I
recognize?
don't know. Maybe
These
people
are
who can read
Chinese?
Chinese in the comments can tell us. But yeah, they gave us a lot of
Ooh,
different
there's one with a
songs.
lot of 666s.
Oh, okay. That's the devil's music.
Oh wait, it's just right now. It's in the
Yeah.
mode where it's just
Yeah.
saying numbers in Chinese. right?
Yeah, so you have to kind of play around with it. And now we're back to the songs. It's pretty good.
I was like Jingle Bells.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I was going with it.
Yeah.
Only I don't know how to play the calculator.
Paul,
But you do.
Yeah, so I can play Smash Mouth,
right.
All-Star. Okay.
I've never been more excited.
Oh, wait.
So you've labeled this one?
Yeah, so this one,
yeah,
I'm really trying to learn this. I labeled it with my post-it notes, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. I'm gonna try playing it right now, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that's great.
I just want to do that one part with all the does.
Yeah.
So you can see they're not really in tune.
Yeah, they're not tuned
yeah.
together at all.
Just like grab a friend and you can.
By the way, Rashad requests Sandstorm.
Whoa.
How does that one go? It's like.
Oh, shoot.
Tommy just broke out Sandstorm on a calculator.
All right.
What's next? What's next?
We got One Hotel California, which is obvious that people would ask.
Oh.
Wait, we got more. We got more people. Cliffs of Dover, and then Funky Town is in here.
Whoa! Dami,
Dami's
have you ever considered a career as a professional calculator
I'm
player?
taking this opportunity to announce that I'm leaving my job and I'm going to become a musical calculator.
I would like to tell everybody at The Verge that if you are going to quit, the way to do it is to show up on the show and announce your future career as a calculator.
I'm shocked at my hidden talent, honestly.
That was amazing. I can't believe you got Sandstorm.
Yeah,
One
Sandstorm is
take.
incredible. Wait, how much are these? These are $10 on all
$10 on AliExpress if you're willing to wait 3 weeks, 20 on Amazon.
All right, and then what's the channel I should check out to watch people like freaking out on?
Oh, It's a Small World on
Okay.
YouTube.
I've seen that video. It's incredible.
Also, I saw somebody do a duet with himself with this of Disney covers.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was really
Yeah,
inspirational.
Polygon's video editor is really good at playing the Venova.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That was incredible. Thank you so much, Dami. If you don't know, Ashley actually hosts a great podcast called Why'd You Push That Button with Caitlin Tiffany, who's also on the Verge team. They did a first season of 10 episodes, which you can go listen to right now. Their second season started today, and we have a little trailer for it. So we're going to watch that. We're going to come back, and then Paul just keeps threatening to teach me how to type, which is something I already know how to do.
Basically, the next Mavis Beacon.
So watch this. We're going to come back. We're going to play some keyboards.
Have you ever ghosted someone?
So,
I'm not proud of it. It's very immature of me.
This is a pretty typical New York ghosting story. He was 10 minutes away, on his way, texting me, and he ghosted the shit out of me.
I mean, yeah, it was fun. I had a nice time, but I mean, I don't know, that was really it. I wasn't really looking for a relationship or anything.
This is really bad. I've ghosted a lot of people.
He would like text me, and then he would just like keep texting me, and then at one point I realized he was having a complete conversation with himself.
We went on one date, and I thought the date went really well. So then when she ghosted, I was really confused.
So it's like, okay, I don't really want a magician in my house.
Boom, ghosted.
I've never really let people do it to me because I think it's a big part of my anxiety where I'm like, I always need to have an answer. Like, God damn it. Like,
So then he found me on Facebook, and then he found me on Instagram, And then he found me on LinkedIn.
His point of view is just like, are you dead? Maybe something actually bad happened.
Like months into the relationship, he just like dropped all ties.
I've never really had a terrible date, or I've had so little respect for a person that I was just gonna stop talking to them because I thought this isn't worth it.
I realized I was completely incapable of telling people that I didn't want to see them again.
I feel like there are tiers to ghosting.
First date, you're fine. Second date, I feel like maybe you can do it. Beyond that, I feel like you're in dangerous territory.
I've been like minorly ghosted on before, and every time I'm just like sending them a message like, you know what, if you don't want to hang out, like that's cool.
There's a lot of strategy involved if you're wondering what to say. Like, I just didn't feel the spark. Because that's kind of, it's not like a bad thing about them.
Never give in. I will not give in. Will not. Thanks.
Why'd You Push That Button is my favorite podcast on this planet. And you must absolutely listen to it. Also, I have been a horrible ghoster in the past, and I'm so sorry.
Wow. I wanted you to feel like I ghosted you, but you went into this other emotional zone.
No.
You just didn't do the bit at all.
That hit me really hard. Oh, you were ghosting me.
I was trying to, and then you were supposed to react, and I was about to be like, I never ghosted you.
Ghosted me.
But instead, you just started apologizing to strangers. All right, what do you got here?
Well, some tech bullshit.
Wow, Paul. That's really put Paul in a deeply emotional place.
This is the Tap.
All right.
Tap strap. Sometimes it's called. I think it's just called Tap. It's a wearable.
Wait, let me interrupt you for 1 second. At the end of all this, we're going to take your calls. So let's put the number on the screen.
Oh, yeah,
You have
yeah,
S9
yeah.
questions. Dan's going to come back, and we're going to answer your questions from calls.
What is it? 1-844-4-emotion?
Yeah. We'll see. Okay.
I came up with that.
Come back.
All right. This is the Tap wearable keyboard. It's a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse. The mouse part is
a little sketchy.
It's not true.
Yeah.
But so you tap to type. So like this is A, E, I, O, U. There's different combinations of fingers like D, M, Z. So I'll do a little, my current on my phone. Oops. Oh, we've already started. So this is like a little speed run. I'm just type in. Oh.
Wait, how does this work?
Is
there like a virtual keyboard in front of you? Are you chording?
It's chords. I'm making shapes with my hands. It's like almost like gestures a little bit, but they're taps. And so I've got to make the right hand shape.
Why would you want to do this?
It's almost like sign language in a sense. Well, I got that one wrong. 11?
That's not terrible.
That's not that. I'm in the double
90%.
digits.
Okay. Why would you want to do
the
this?
The very legit reason why is that, so I've got some phones with keyboards. Remember there was a time when phones had keyboards?
That's like the weird Android sidekick they made.
Yeah, this is a very strange phone. Or Blackberries. Remember Blackberries, Nilay? Anyways, you could feel what you were typing.
Mm-hmm.
With a software keyboard, you can't. And so if you want to input text on your phone, you can always use your voice. But if you want a discrete way to input text mobily. But what I'm really excited about is wearable computers, like stuff like Google Glass or whatever the future holds for what we're going to actually wear on our face. And will we have discrete text input, or will we always be using our voice? So this is, obviously, we're not going to do this. This is a joke. This is a fun fashion
I'm into this
statement.
joke. I love this joke.
I think that was like 2008.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the Twiddler keyboard. This is, in a sense, a very similar concept. You're making finger combinations to make the letters out of a limited set of keys. It also has a joystick for use as a mouse. And this was used by a lot of the wearable computing. I think we have a photo. Yeah, so right here, this is my personal hero, Thad Starner, who has been basically using a Twiddler keyboard and a wearable computer since, I don't know, the 90s.
Wow.
This is Steve Mann. These are very, very, very important people, and they're still working on wearable
This is a photo
computing
from
stuff.
the 90s.
Yes, that's very nice.
I'm just looking at sort of the Birkenstock finish on the jeans over there, placing.
You know, people were saying the 90s are back. Like they're kind of right. This could totally be on my Instagram right now.
Okay.
Okay. So, anyways, this could be the keyboard that I've been looking for.
Yeah.
It's a tap keyboard. So I want you to try it out.
Yeah, I'm into it.
I'm going to teach you how to type. Since we've been teasing that this whole time. All right. So there you go. So you got some brass knuckles.
All right. So they go past the knuckle here?
Yeah, all the way up here. It comes in 2 sizes, and it's comical. You really need. This is the large, and it's
I'd like to
definitely
announce
too
that
large
I will
for a lot of
be
people.
in Avengers Infinity War.
Oh, good.
During this.
Good. Okay, so here's a little tutorial.
Okay.
So what you want to do is you're going to float your hand
finger down.
and then tap
Fingers 1,
on
2,
the surface.
3, 4, and 5.
Okay.
A.
All right.
So then tap all 5 to proceed. There you go.
Okay.
Now why don't you come in? Put your hand right there. There you go.
All right. It doesn't work perfectly.
So this is one of my biggest problems with it. Now you try to curve them when you tap.
Curve them?
Yeah.
Oh, it works way better.
So it's not like you're typing on a virtual keyboard. You're kind of making these gestures, but this tapping is very important. And sometimes, because it's using motion detection to figure this out. Sometimes it doesn't quite figure it out. And so I think this learning system is amazing, and you learn some of the letters at a time. It gives you mnemonics. You're doing
figuring
great.
this out already. It's like hacking my
very
brain.
quickly becomes. Here, let's do some new letters. Nilay, you've got this one. So that's A-I-O-U. So let's do NTLS. Basically, the the more common letter is, the easier it is to shape with your
Fingers
hand.
together. Tap fingers 1 and 2.
All right, whatever.
There's songs.
Okay.
Really great songs. But and so it has really good positive reinforcement when you get it right, and really good negative reinforcement when you get it wrong. But sometimes you make the correct shape, but you've just moved in some slightly incorrect way,
So we got this.
and it can make it hard. It can make it kind of hard to learn. Oh, you got this. Space is all 5 fingers at once. It's the middle finger and ring finger. There you go. In. Period is a double space, kind of like a mobile.
So why would you? So this is like your. Oh wait. Okay. Oh okay.
Yeah. You getting it?
Yeah.
You getting it?
I mean that's annoying when it gets it wrong. It's weird how quickly that I seem to have learned this.
Right? It just goes right into your brain.
Yeah.
So Nilay and I are both left-handed. You have to switch it with software to which hand it's going to be on. But if you learn it on the right hand, it's mirrored. So thumb is A, index finger is E, middle finger is I, so forth.
This is weird. It's weird how quickly. Whoa.
Oh, you're typing words now. You're basically a typist. You can type words like lass, sass, mass.
Oh,
no,
God.
you can't do mass.
I don't know how to do anything. I got that one. Yeah. No. Come on. Nailed it. All right. So how much is this thing?
This is $150.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of different apps for mobile. There's they have games. They have these learning apps. They kind of reinforce both the physical capability and the actual typing capability.
That was weird that I figured out how to do that.
You picked it up
usually
pretty
not
quick.
Good. If you ever watched me play a video game on the show, I'm usually bad at them. But that was weird.
Well, someone pointed out to me that in a sense, it's kind of like learning guitar chords.
Okay.
Because it is a chording keyboard in a sense. Okay, I'm going to do
Give me the paw cam.
the ultimate test. I'm going to try to type on my laptop.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to try to pair something on Bluetooth.
Ooh. We're going to get a sign that says days since last Bluetooth fail because we're at 1.
Hey,
you got it. Here we go.
Okay. So there's a few things here. So these 3 fingers is delete. Return is kind of weird, or enter. So I'm gonna. And I also really don't like how to type my name. So the P is kind of a weird shape. So P-A-U-L is.
So your idea is.
Oops. Cool. Wow. Oh, G is a tough one. Is that what? Yep. Guy.
Wow.
So I've been practicing for about a weekend.
Okay.
I got on Friday.
The idea here is that you wear a computer on your face and you.
And I type.
And you would just like walk up to surfaces and type.
Here's the thing. I'm using this hard surface, right? On their commercial, they use it on a lot of soft surfaces. Like they're using it on like, someone does it under a table on her knee, or someone does it on his arm. So like, especially the more complicated letters are really hard to do on soft surfaces, which kind of almost ruins the entire point. Like think about Twiddler, it doesn't matter what the surface is, but for this, you want to be able to take notes while you're just out and about hanging out.
Yeah.
And you can't really do it. Oh, the other thing, I wanted to show you the mouse.
Oh, sure. Show me the mouse.
This is the optical sensor.
Let's get in here.
Let's see if you can see this.
Yeah. Okay.
So this surface is what slides on the table, and it just does not work very well.
It does not look like it's working great.
So there's
how do you click?
I think it's middle finger.
Oh, it's just all over the place.
It's just like now it's typing accidentally. There's like a right click. There's a scroll gesture. I had the inventor of this demoed it for me, and he could barely use the mouse. He kept on saying, "It's really impressive how good mice are these days," as an excuse for why this is so bad. But it's really hard to use as a mouse, so that's kind of a bummer too.
Okay.
But I'm excited about this. Hopefully, they can keep improving it with software. There'll be some software updates.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna keep practicing. Maybe do a little bit of typing on the go.
I like it. Okay, Dan is back. That was cool.
So tap.
I'm very interested in like new input, new interface ideas. Dan is back. He just wandered over to the archives. Oh, to get the phones.
Oh.
And I am told we have a call.
What?
If you want to call us, you can call 844-436-6846. We'll take your questions. Caller on the line. Talk to us. Oh, I'm told we have to wait for it. We'll see. We'll see if we can use this phone technology. All right, caller, talk to us.
Hi, I just had a question about the Samsung Galaxy S9's camera.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is how in the marketing they're talking about how the camera is like reimagined. I just wondered if that meant that the phone was actually, like the camera was actually much better than most high-end smartphone cameras, or it was just like the same, but the camera is just, the camera hardware is just redone.
Yeah. Hey, what's your name, man?
Cole.
Paul? Is he saying?
Cole.
Cole. Sorry, a little fuzzy. All right, Cole. I'm going to let Dan answer this one, but I'm going to tell you my gut instinct is that is just a marketing tagline.
So that's the thing with marketing. You have to understand it's all marketing. So Samsung's gonna try and market this as heavily as it possibly can and use all the words it wants. The reality is they have done a lot of work on the camera. It's not just the new switchable lens. They do have a new sensor that is doing a lot of more processing on the sensor itself to reduce noise and image artifacts and things like that. And it also does things quicker on the sensor to do that kind of processing. So it should produce better images than the S8 or last year's phones. Is it dramatically better than any other phone on the market? No. Is it better at all than any other phone? Like, is it better than Pixel 2?
What would you
Maybe
say?
not. It's a lot of personal preference at this point.
What would you say reimagined refers to?
I believe what they're referring to is the ability to switch the aperture, because that is an entirely new thing that we have not seen on other smartphones.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and just like that, and like the like further image stabilization and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yep. These do have image stabilization on both the front and the rear cameras. So that all like carries over from the S8 as well. Optical image stabilization. Yep.
Yeah, I think the thing to me that's really interesting is having the mechanical aperture. For so long, the thing with smartphone cameras was to make them better, to make them more like DSLRs. We don't have the physical space to move light around like a DSLR.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to do this all in software and figure it out. We're going to add a lens to get a depth effect. We're going to do all this other stuff. And now we're starting to see actual physical camera features show up in these cameras, but for not the reasons that you would otherwise expect.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, if it was like, I really feel like the mechanical aperture is more of a marketing tool for this. The phone looks exactly the same as last year, as we pointed out before. So Samsung needs something to market this phone with, and the mechanical aperture is.
We have a question.
Thank you, Cole. Appreciate the question.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Cole. Gabriel asked in the chat, does larger aperture work for video?
Yes.
Okay, so you can open up for video.
Yeah. I haven't really done a ton of testing with that as how much control you have, but it definitely will do it in the automatic modes. Let's see if we can do live.
Paul Cam's over here, man.
All right, Paul Cam, break it out. That's a great question. Not one I always think
that's
of.
on me. That's just, there we go.
We're going to take this riveting video of the S9 Plus here. Okay. So I'm in manual mode.
There's something with
I've got the controls here, so I'm going to open it up to f1.5. I'm going to shoot some video. Now, once it's in video and recording, you can see very faintly, let me get this on the black there. You can see it's set to f1.5, but I can't actually change that in video recording. Once I stop recording, I can switch to f2.4 and record a new clip at f2.4, but I can't switch on the fly.
Okay. Victor says, does face unlock plus iris scanner combo work well? I think the real question is, does it work as well as Face ID in the iPhone?
No, it's slow and annoying. And the other thing that it does is, we don't have it set up right now, is that it shines a red light. So, you know, on the iPhone, it does an infrared thing, and our cameras can pick that up. If we put Nilay's iPhone here, you can see, I'm going to hide his notifications, but you can see it flashing on the camera. On the Samsung phones, it actually flashes and you can see it. It's annoying.
All right, hold on.
So
you set that up. We have one more call from our friend, Sam Sheffer. Sammy, are you on the line?
Ooh. I am here. Hello.
What's up, baby? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Watching the show live. I'm curious. Do you think this new aperture in smartphones thing is a trend? Or is this sort of like every smartphone now has two cameras? Is Apple's new iPhone going to have a variable aperture camera? And then a kind of a follow-up is, do you think we'll ever see interchangeable lenses on smartphones?
Whew, that's a lot of questions, Sam.
Yeah, Sam's going for it.
I don't think it's going to be a trend, simply because the benefits are not manifest. It feels really like a purely marketing thing. With the dual cameras that we're seeing on a lot of phones.
Wait, I disagree with you. You get better performance out of the camera.
But why would you ever switch it to f2.4? Just keep it at f1.5.
Because having a wide open aperture, you do lose some detail, you lose some sharpness, right? Like,
not in my experience.
All right, fine. I mean, you're going to review this.
Stay tuned for the review.
But they keep it closed more often than not. Right?
They keep it closed more often than not, and I think that is to increase the depth of field. But as we saw in the examples, the difference in the depth of field is minimal at best.
Yeah.
And also, in my experience, the difference in sharpness is imperceptible.
What about the most important question that Sam asked? Interchangeable lenses.
Interchangeable lenses.
No. So here's my big worry with this thing. For real, it's my 6S died, not for any particular reason, except I dropped it. And the mechanical,
What's the reason?
the focus, well, it wasn't like it died for software, like the battery died and slowed down. It was literally the moving part in the camera that focused it started grinding. And it just the phone, that was it, the end of the phone.
Yeah.
Having moving parts in phones scares me. And I think we've seen this endless trend to get rid of every moving part. I would, instead of interchangeable lenses on cameras, I'd rather have a battery door and a replaceable battery. You're not going to get that.
No.
So I think like moment lenses, I know that's, you use a bunch of interchangeable lenses on your existing phone, right? Right, Sam?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think those companies are going to have a field day because it's specialized.
Yeah.
I think the real race is getting more light into these sensors.
Mm-hmm.
So Samsung has done one thing. I think there's a reason that they had to build a mechanical aperture ring to close it down, because I think you want it closed more often than not, even though Dan says you can't see it different.
Right.
But I think the real race is what Google's doing with automatic HDR. I think Apple's going to do its own tricks. But
yeah, they're all doing multi-frame processing now, where they capture a bunch of frames, stack them together to reduce noise, increase detail, things like that. Google pioneered that. Apple does it. Samsung does it now. They say they're doing it to a greater extent with the S9. Like you said, the real enhancements are going to be on the software, because there's a physical limit to how far you can go with the.
So call it now. Does the 2018 iPhone copy Samsung with this aperture thing?
No,
no. I would say no.
I sincerely doubt it. I think Apple will find a way to mock this. They will find a way to say, we don't need to add moving parts to the phone. We can do this with our software. That's just the way.
So they'll just go in with like a 1.4 lens instead and just say, "Ha, Samsung."
Maybe. Like we were saying from at the beginning when we were looking at comparison photos, these photos still look like Samsung photos. And I think Apple's very happy with the way its photos look. And they've been happy since the iPhone 6, right? They've been putting iPhone photos on billboards and being like, look at how great these photos are for just 5 years. So any incremental improvement, I think, is going to be tough. I think Apple's bigger challenge is the Pixel, because I think the Pixel takes better photos more often. I think iPhone can generate beautiful photos, but more consistently, I think the Pixel 2 does a better job. Yeah.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Fair. All right, guys. Good talking to you.
See you, buddy. Last question. We got to go. Max is asking, how's the battery life in the S9 and S9 Plus?
So for just to lay down the specs, they are exactly the same as last year. So it's a 3,000 milliamp hour battery in the small one, 3,500 milliamp hour battery in the big one, and you can expect the exact same battery life in my experience.
Is the 845 supposed to be more efficient in any ways?
The 845 is supposed to be more efficient, but it's not a dramatic leap like from other processor generations. It's still the same manufacturing process, 10 nanometers, so you're not getting efficiencies there. Samsung says there's some software efficiencies and stuff. The real world experience has been that the S9 will last a day for light users. The S9 Plus will last a day for heavier users, but if you're a real heavy user, you can even kill the S9 Plus battery. Neither of them have bad battery life. Neither of them have exceptional battery life. It is the typical what they market. It lasts a day and no more.
Yeah. All right, we got to wrap up. We're way over time here. This was a trial run of calls, so thank you for everyone who called in. Next week, the entire middle segment of the show is just you calling us for emotional support about your gadgets.
Emotional tech support.
Emotional tech support, which Paul and Ashley piloted ages ago. I'm excited. So
pioneered, you might
keep
say.
this number in mind. If you got a question next week on the show, call us. Ask us for support. I want to call out two people. Bert, who's watching in the Philippines. Thank you for watching. And Techno Info RD is watching from the Dominican Republic.
Oh,
love that. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're done for today. We'll be back next week, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. You can obviously watch the show on VOD on YouTube, and there's clips on the website and everything. Next week, we'll be back. We got a bunch of stuff, and we're going to take your calls for like 15 minutes of Crazy Town. It's going to be something.
They said it couldn't be done.
But we're going to find out if we can. All right, that's it for Circuit Breaker Live. We'll see you next week.